Hello guys, so in this video I'm going to be covering objection handling, something that's more technical in SMMA. I know this week so far has been fairly airy-fairy, at least yesterday's video. In the beginning I was teaching you guys how to recruit and stuff, that's quite technical. But today we're going to be talking about a sales concept, which is objection handling, and how do you actually, get past objections when, prospects have doubt in your service, etc., etc. Yeah, and I'm going to be giving you the structure to follow in terms of how to overcome any objection you might face over sales calls and discovery calls, and when you try to close a client. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video straight away. First of all, you might be wondering, what even is objection handling? So objection handling is when, the prospect tells you, raises a concern to you, basically gives you the reason of why they wouldn't sign the deal, that call. And it's up to you now to, make them see the logic and convince them emotionally to, put trust in your services and then move forward with the deal from there. So how do you do it for beginners? So for beginners, what I would recommend is there's a three-step structure to follow that you would do with every single objection. At the higher levels, you'll be able to kind of tailor it way more to the actual business owner and just be a lot more human about it. But in the beginning, what you should do is follow the structure of feel, felt, found. This is a very, very basic sales concept in terms of, step one, it's feel. So basically that's you want to first agree with them or understand their perspective. And when you do this, make sure you genuinely come at an angle where you genuinely can appreciate how they're feeling. And then, so this would be with a common phrase like, oh, you know what, I totally understand where you're coming from. And then step two, which is the second stage in this objection handling structure, which is the felt. So now you would bring up an example of, another prospect or a current client that you have that felt the exact same way. And make sure it's genuine. That's the biggest thing. I don't ever lie on my sales calls, simply because if you lie, it's going to come back to haunt you at some stage. And if you don't have a client, just, be totally honest with it. If you have a client, and they've genuinely raised that objection in the past, or it's somewhere that you've heard it from, you just be honest about that as well. So felt is where you just bring up a past experience that you've had or someone else has that you know of, and basically say that they were in the same situation as you. And the found stage is where and here's how they were able to overcome it. So second stage, the felt stage, it would be something like, Laura had the same exact feeling about it. And stage three, which is found, is where it's like, okay, so how did that prospect solve their situation? So it'd be like, what they found was, and you provide the solution here. So it'd be like, oh, and what they found was, or when they realized that, blah, blah, and then this is where the solution comes in, they were more than happy to move forward with this deal. And that's the found stage. So that's how you would overcome it in a three-step process. So to give you a real quick example of that, it would be something like, what's the most objection when it comes to agencies? It's the fact that it's expensive, right? So when you're trying to close a deal, let's say that's more than $2,000 or $3,000, even if it's $1,000, it depends on how qualified the prospect is. Most of the time, they're just going to be like, oh, that's a lot of money. I don't really feel comfortable investing that. So objection to that could be something along the lines of, Laura, I completely understand how you feel. In fact, my current client, Claude, was literally feeling the same way initially when I was on the call with him. But, once they realized that this is a B2B service, and that, we wouldn't charge an amount that is disproportionately higher than the amount of value that we add to you guys, they were more than happy to move forward with us. So would you like me to show you the next step? Do you see what I did there? So first of all, it's like, hey, I totally get your point. My current client agreed, that they were in the same position and they had the same perspective as you guys. But, when they realized like, you know, normally B2B services, the more you pay, you do tend to get more out of it as well. Just because you're paying for like a value-based service, just how, you know, like you wouldn't trust, like let's say you go to the doctors and you had cancer, right? And you wanted, was it chemotherapy? Would you even, would how concerned would you be if they quoted you for the whole chemo treatment that it only costed $97 a month for 6 months? You would run, right? You would definitely have doubts and red flags in your head all over the place. But you know, if you go to actual doctors and then they just be like, hey, you know, like this whole treatment is not going to be it's not going to be cheap. It's like $2,000. You know, you're paying you pay for. Sorry, you get what you paid for, essentially. So that's the kind of point that I always try to convey. You know, there are definitely cheaper agencies out there to work with, but the reason why you should choose mine is blah, 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 quality, da, 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 etc., etc. So yeah, only do this if you, only do this if you're truly confident with your service delivery, but also only do this if you have, but also, you know, with your objection handling, just make sure that you have 100% confidence in it, because especially during the objections, if you aren't confident that, you know, what you're saying is true, then it would really come through in terms of the energy and the way that you say it and tone of voice, etc., etc. And God forbid it be in either real life or video calls, it's also going to come through in your body language. So just make sure you're authentic with all of the objection handles that you have. And one tip that I would recommend is literally get on a call with, let's say, your accountability partner. So watch Monday's video if you are struggling to find one, but get on a call with your accountability partner and just try to close them as many times as possible, and get them to just throw random objections at you. Like, it could be price objections, it could be contract objections, it could be like service delivery objections, it could be experience objections, age objections, anything. Literally just get them to basically role play with you on objection handling, because in the beginning, that's definitely not going to be something that you're comfortable doing. In which case, you know, definitely get on the call to practice that. But I would also write out a whole list of possible objections that you could face. And then just, you know, write down premeditated ways of how you would actually handle the objection. Because what that's going to happen long term is you're going to already have responses ingrained to your head. So for me, I know exactly what I would say to, you know, price objections, because I do charge more than the average agency. Well, a lot of beginner agencies out there as well. But it's just like, I'm so confident in terms of how much value I would be able to add that, you know, like, it's a no-brainer already in my head. I just need to convey the same feeling to the prospect. And how I do that is literally use, you know, well, actually, no, to be fair, I'm at a level where it's like, I don't need to rely on the same structure. I can get kind of creative with it and make it more personalized to the prospect. But, yeah, but that just comes with practice, if I'm honest. And even now, sometimes I say things on sales calls, I'm just like, boy, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you know, I still make mistakes, but it just comes and with experience, and it's a huge learning curve. So yeah. So I have just given you a quick example of how you would overturn certain objections and handle them, and I've also given you the structure. Now, if you have any questions or anything you didn't understand from earlier on in this video, feel free to drop them drop them down below as a comment, or ask it on my Monday Q&As, where I go live 7 p.m. UK time on my Instagram, which is right here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching till the end of this video. Really do appreciate your time, because I know, you know, keeping someone's attention isn't that easy on YouTube, especially now with everyone lacking the amount of focus that they need. So yeah, truly do really appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Bye guys.